All right, everyone, thanks, and welcome to the March meeting of the Astrobiology Science Communication Guild 2.0. This is our second meeting of 2023. Last month, we had the kickoff, so this is our March meeting where we will be talking about digital learning opportunities from the SciAct Infiniscope team. We are joined today by Ariel Anbar and Joe Tamer from the Infiniscope team. And they're going to be telling you a little bit about opportunities that they have to basically help them create, inform, test, participate in, teach digital modules that use NASA science and astrobiology. Whether you are a scientist, an educator, a student, an educator in training, a postdoc, I think we have opportunities. They have opportunities for whatever level you are at in the guild that may interest you. So let us jump right into our sort of a welcome and intro segment that I want to do before we have Ariel and Joe on. Today, I am joined by my guild co-hosts, Mike Toyon and Hillary Davis. Mike, we didn't get a chance to meet you last month because you were traveling. So many of you probably know Mike Toyon. He is the video master behind many of our NASA astrobiology clips and videos and really cool digital media things. So Mike, do you want to say hey?
Hey. Hi, everyone. That's great to be here.
And some of you already met Hillary last month. She is our external evaluator, and Hillary is going to share some very interesting insights from all of the surveys that we've been giving out to Guild members. So I will actually jump right into that and pass the mic over to you, Hillary. So Hillary's going to give you kind of a background on the many, the new member assessment, the roster, all of these surveys that we keep giving you. We're about to launch a new survey on whether you've actually participated in any of our guild opportunities that you can report back. And she's going to tell you a little bit about some of the results and basically what your needs are and what you all are saying in terms of what you'd like to get out of the guild going forward. So Hillary, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you again. As you know, we did the needs assessment for both the existing members and the new members. This is just the new ones. We got 27 responses. And you can see on the slide, I put them in order of the percentage of people who responded that it was they chose that as being important to them. So clearly networking is the highest, attending meetings and interacting with others, hearing from other people and learning about opportunities. All these are all things that are planned and that you have the group has said that are important. There are more, of course, but they weren't chosen as frequently, so I didn't include them. But Svet, you're working on making some place where we can put stuff. But in the meantime, if you want a copy of the detailed report, you can just email me. So next slide. So this was the goals of people of being in the guild. And then we asked in several different ways what would help you to do more SciComm activities. And people said they'd really like specific opportunities for audiences that were already identified or events. And then a chance to maybe sometimes do it with other people and plan it together. They'd also like to hear about those kinds of specific things that people do, like specific examples of astrobiology outreach, and then professional development that was around things like the learning progressions that Mike was just talking about, as well as preparation for specific events, and then maybe even feedback on them. So those are all things that could be incorporated into professional development. And like if you end up doing things with Infiniscope, you would be working with the team and you would certainly have feedback and be doing co-development. Okay, next slide. So this is a Svet slide. She's going to talk about how the Guild is responding to these needs. You're muted.
There we go. Trying to find the unmute button while in screen share mode. Okay. Yeah, so here are a couple of the things that we're doing to sort of respond to your specific needs to help you continue in your journey as SciComm science communicators. So, as you know, we're bringing you monthly meetings, monthly guild meetings, where we will hear from both SciAct and external partners to just bring you a variety of different opportunities. In addition to that, we are giving you time at the end of each meeting to not only build community. Sorry, I'm getting some feedback. Someone's got their someone's unmuted. Sorry. To give you some time to not only build community, because remember, we are trying to achieve a community of practice here, as we discussed last meeting, but also to really hear from you as members, to share about your ideas on, whether you're aware of any opportunities in your local communities that may be useful SciComm opportunities for guild members where, SMEs may be needed, astrobiology SMEs, subject matter experts. So last meeting, we had a jam-packed schedule with not one, but two speakers. But this meeting and going forward, we are bringing you some time at the end to share those opportunities and get to know each other. And we'll have some time for welcomes and intros among members and things like that. What else are we doing? In terms of professional development, you all have spoken up about your interest in professional development to build up your toolkit as SciComm science communicators. So we are going to be bringing you workshops. For example, next month, we will be hearing from the Planetary Reach SciAct team. And REACH is a great acronym that stands for Resources and Content Heroes. And they are putting on workshops for culturally inclusive planetary engagement. So if you're interested in that, that will be our first real professional development opportunity. Stay tuned about April's meeting. And we're still scheduling that, so that that hasn't been, the timing hasn't been released yet. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, not only through email, but also on our Slack channel. If you'd like to engage, offline, please join our Slack channel. The QR code is here on this slide, and I will post it, or maybe one of the co-hosts can help me by posting that into the chat. There's a member bios channel that I recently created. That's what it looks like, based on feedback actually from guild members, where we thought it would be fun to have you all come in and sort of introduce yourselves. So if you haven't posted your, thanks, Mike, for posting that. If you haven't joined the Slack, or if you haven't joined the member bios channel particularly, please do so and share a little bit about yourself, because again, that is a great way to network, build community, gain collaborators, and who knows what else. So please join that if you haven't yet. And another way for you all to get to know each other is through the guild team roster. When you became a guild member, whether if it was the 2.0 version this year or the original guild back in 2021, you probably filled out the team roster. And if you haven't, please do so. The link is going to pop up in the next couple of slides. So please take a moment to do that. That is a great sort of survey table to get to know other guild members based on their expertise, what they've participated in the past, what opportunities they're interested in. So definitely fill that out if you have not yet. And Hillary, I think I'm going to turn it back over to you, because now this is where we, for lack of better words, bombard you with additional surveys so that we can keep learning about your needs and keep seeing how our community is evolving.
And also so we can report on the success of this to the leadership so that they can provide feedback and also broadcast it to other people. So we just made up, I got this idea actually from Solar System Ambassadors, which you all probably know about. And it's a wonderful program. And I worked on a project where they were partially funded, and they used to send me the most wonderful data about who was participating and doing what. So I made it like that. It's a really simple form, and it just says, what did you do? And it can be any outreach you're doing. And it just is like, who'd you do it with? And what did you do? And what did you learn? And would you do it again? So that will help us to document what you're doing over time. And maybe there'll be patterns that emerge. Okay, next slide. And then, as Svet mentioned, there's this needs assessment survey. And so if you haven't done that and you're a new member, we'd appreciate it. We're going to roll those data up every month. The next slide. And then there's the roster. So as Svet mentioned, this is something that you can peruse anytime and do keyword searches and things like that so that you can be like, oh, yeah, and if you're looking for somebody to do something with, or you're just looking to see what the other members are doing, this is a great resource. And Mike, you set this up originally, right? The roster based on feedback from what people wanted. And what are some of the fields in there? Remind us.
It's like affiliation, what you feel like you're an expertise in, what topics you think you can speak to. So as opportunities come up, am I a Mars person? Am I that kind of thing.
Yeah. And so also if you got invited to do something, but it was broader than your expertise, this would be a good place to maybe get a compatriot. Next slide. I think this is where we roll. That's the last slide. So we're going to roll right into Joe and Ariel.
Yep. I'm going to go back to the slide at the very end for feedback and ideas and all that. So I'm going to stop my screen share now. And I'm going to hand over the mic to Ariel and Joe. And please take it away and make sure you guys introduce yourself so we can all get a little background about who you are and this amazing group called Infiniscope. Take it away.
Great. Thanks. So thanks for the invitation to come talk to you. So I'm Ariel Anbar. I'm the PI of this NASA Science Activation Program project, Infiniscope. For those who are unaware, Science Activation is a fairly good-sized education program. Funds over 50 teams now in the Science Mission Directorate. So it's all about doing education and education outreach around NASA science activities. So I thought I'd start here a little bit by talking about how I ended up doing this, which might be useful, especially for many of the early career folks here, most of whom are probably science first, right? And communication and education and outreach second, and you're trying to figure out how to navigate that and even what's the language you use to explain to other people why you're doing what you're doing around things that are not just straight science. So let me just give you just my perspective on it. It might be useful to you. And if not, you can tune out and snooze for 5 minutes. So I came to run this Infiniscope project as part of a shift in my career, to an expansion of my career to really embrace education efforts in a big way, especially using digital technologies. That started about 15 years ago, a little bit after I came to Arizona State University. Before that, I was straight science. I'm a geochemist. I went, undergrad at Harvard, grad school at Caltech, faculty member at University of Rochester, got into the astrobiology world when astrobiology was created as a thing in the late 1990s. With research into ancient Earth environments using novel techniques of isotope geochemistry, trying to understand the rise of oxygen in Earth history and what that can tell us about the prospects for inhabited worlds elsewhere and how we might detect them. So really, hardcore geochemistry applied to hardcore astrobiology research questions tied to Earth history. So how did I end up being PI of this thing? And this is actually, Infiniscope it's a large grant. I mean, if you want to talk brass tacks, it's larger than, I've run a NASA Astrobiology Institute team at ASU. Svet remembers, she was a grad student in that team. So back in the day, those are big grants, multi-investigator, multi-PI grants. This Infiniscope project is bigger dollar-wise than an Astrobiology Institute team. That's the size of these things. So how did I end up doing education stuff at that scale? So I got to ASU, it was my first time teaching at a public research university. So I started teaching the big, science lecture classes, and I was pretty good at it. Got a teaching award, but decided pretty quickly that this is not a great way to teach and learn science, and started thinking about how we could use digital technology to teach science better and teach it better at scale, to do things that would actually be scalable in terms of improving science. I think as an astrobiologist, I came to that with a different perspective than many other people. And I think you guys many of you probably share this perspective, even if you don't quite know it or don't have the language for it yet. So let me say what I mean. Astrobiology, we are engaged in one of the biggest questions that humans ask. Are we alone in the universe? I like to think that there's three basic questions that any sentient creature will ask. How did I get here? Where am I going? And am I alone? Right? And so, am I alone is the astrobiology question, and it touches on the other ones too. And so we're engaged in that as a scientific pursuit. In my career, that's gone from being, a nice idea to, this is like real science. We're just like, as you all know, we're discovering planets around orbiting other stars, and we're sending missions to Mars and Europa that are now going to be explicitly to look for life, in case of Mars. So this is becoming real hardcore science, which is awesome. But it's also hugely challenging, not just technically, but sociologically and socially, because as we all have experienced already, if you look back, some of us, if we're old enough, remember the Alan Hills meteorite debate, but you don't have to be that old. Just look at the debate about phosphine in the Venus atmosphere. We know that what's coming. We can say with incredibly high probability that what's coming is going to be data that is going to be interpreted in ways that are controversial, having to do with this question that is one of the three foundational questions that any sentient being is going to ask, right? And the debates about this are going to be in the public, because that's the way science works these days. It's always worked. It's always been transparent, but now it's like out there, right? And it's vital then, I think, that the public, that we do everything we can, we as scientists do everything we can to help the public develop a more sophisticated understanding of what the process of science actually is, so that when they see these debates happening in the public, when they see this vicious, sometimes vicious, hopefully not too often vicious, but at least very strong disagreement among scientists about how to interpret the data, that they understand that that is not science being broken. That is not science not working. That is science. That is the scientific process. The scientific process, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, but sometimes it's useful to hear a little preaching, right? So the scientific process is about looking at data that are not where the interpretation which is not clear, and struggling for the interpretation. And part and parcel of that is having different interpretations, competing hypotheses, which then motivate obtaining more data to try to get closer to some sense of objective truth. That's what science is. So it's inherently going to be messy. That's what it is. And it's all about, it's not about what's the right answer, right? Then the public has this misconception, our school systems reinforce this misconception way too much, that science is about the right answer. And so when the public sees scientists arguing about the right answers, they think that, something's wrong. And they don't get that, no, science is the process of getting to answers that are at least more right than our previous answers. That's what science is. So when I started getting into thinking about, how can I get beyond doing kind of mind-numbing lecture style teaching, sage on a stage, where lecture style teaching inevitably trends towards, I've got the truth and I'm telling you what the truth is, right? It reinforces the wrong picture of science. If we're going to move away from that, my thought process was, how can I use digital technologies to develop things that would develop experiences for students, develop learning experiences that would expose students more and better to how science really works. And so there's a whole range of things you could do in that space. I mean, citizen science is an example of that. Like, let's actually have people do practice of science. And that's great. That's awesome. And that's using digital technology to scale out practice of science. But I'm a bit more in a formal education context. And so my thought process was, can I create digital experiences that, and can I build a team to do that? Because I don't do any of it myself, right? Can I raise funds to build a team that can create digital experiences that walk students through experiences that force them to problem solve, that force them to explore data in certain ways that they're kind of canned sometimes. We're not exposing students to all the real data in the world, right? These are very structured things, but where students get bootstrapped into, get scaffolded into the thought process that we know is what science really is. That I'm not sure what the right answer is, but I'm going to obtain some data. I'm going to try to figure out what the right answer is. So that's been the philosophy of what we've been doing for a long time. Well, before this grant existed, Svet and maybe Jessica here too. Go Sun Devils. We got a lot of ASU here. Remember, we built this Habitable Worlds course here years ago, which had that philosophy, and and you're going to hear more about that because that's part of Infiniscope. But Infiniscope's much bigger than that. So we learned along the way how to do things like that. We're still learning. I'm not going to say we perfected it, but Infiniscope is then a grant project that is building learning experiences as well as technologies to support you guys building learning experiences that help advance this more sophisticated understanding of science. And digital, because we need to figure out ways to do this at scale, right? We know how to do really cool outreach and education and small scale, small groups that gets people to a more sophisticated understanding of science. But we have a societal problem. We have a societal challenge around all this. We need a critical mass of the public to understand that when somebody reports, an observation of oxygen in an atmosphere from some star, from a planet orbiting some star, that when there's vigorous debate around the interpretation of that's okay, that's science working. So we need to do this at scale. And so digital is one of the ways we do that. So with that kind of setup to sort of help you understand why I'm doing what I'm doing and how it relates to astrobiology and why an astrobiologist would end up doing this, I'm going to turn over to Joe. He's going to walk through a bit more of a structured presentation about what Infiniscope is and what it's doing. He's going to introduce himself too a little bit here. He's Joe's the deputy PI of Infiniscope, and I should say that I'm a professor in the School of Earth and Space Exploration at ASU, but I'm also director of the Center for Education Through Exploration, which is a center that develops these sort of digital learning experiences. And Infiniscope is it's the flagship project of that center, which does a number of other things as well. So, Joe, turn over to you. And we're seeing your slide. We're not seeing your slides. We're seeing your prep. You need to flip screen. Yeah, there you go. And we're not hearing you.
There we go. Are we good? Can you guys see the slides there now?
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Ariel. And once again, I'm Joe Tamer. Work here with Ariel for the last 7 years or so in the ETX Center. And, my roots are in astrobiology as well. I was at NASA Ames from 97 to 2001 when I was doing origins of life studies, molecular biology. And I said, I'll teach for a year. And then a year became 14 and I moonlighted on the side doing ed tech and then found my way here to ASU where I can do NASA science and astrobiology and education and ed tech all into one. So, there was a place for me. And this has been awesome. It's been a great run and I'm happy to share Infiniscope with you guys. So what is Infiniscope? And just so you know, I'm going to run through a little bit of information here to give you context, and then we're going to save time for questions at the end because we really do want to have some discussion here. So Infiniscope is first and foremost a portal. It's a web page that has all sorts of adaptive lessons that are aligned with next generation science standards. So they are concepts that teachers need to teach anyway. You can see here there's lesson plans and standards alignments for everything that we produce on the portal. And these lessons are adaptive. They use interactives like virtual field trips you see here. And it's a learn by doing approach. You see students collecting data about chemical composition of the rocks. And then you have to answer questions about them, right? And here, we answer a question. We try and submit it. Says that's wrong. We need to go back and plot more data. So the student is getting feedback on what they need to do to discover the answer. We want them to explore. We want them to be curious. We want to give them feedback to guide them to a correct understanding. And that's what Infiniscope is all about. But it's not only a portal. If you're just a portal, that would be great. But we also have a community of practice that we have been trying to form and cultivate and feed. We have over 2,500 educators in that network. And students with those educators have launched their lessons over 1 million times. It might be over 1 million students, but a lot of it is you can use anonymously. So I don't know if it's the same student doing 10 times or 10 different students, but the lessons have been launched over 1 million times. And we provide training on how to use these lessons in your classroom. If they're not exactly what you want, we give you tools to customize these lessons and the knowledge on how to create your own and the tools to do that. So you can create your own adaptive lessons on Infiniscope, as well as create your own virtual tours. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. And if you have created your own things, we have this row called contributed content. So these are lessons that were created by members of our community and shared with the rest of the community. They may not be as big or intense as some of the labs or lessons that the learning design team here at ASU builds, but we're creating an ecosystem where there's opportunity for all sorts and sizes and shapes of learning experiences. And here you're seeing a whole host of virtual tours that were created by educators in our community after summer training last year. So all these are freely available on that portal, and you can engage with the community on that portal. Another note, we said you can create your own virtual tours. Infiniscope has partially funded the development of this tool called Tour It. So, we are building these virtual field trips that are kind of big and expensive and take a long time. And we are challenged, hey, can you make it so that a teacher can create their own virtual tour, a very simple, version of it? And so this is what Tour It is. You can see you upload your own equirectangular image that turns into a spherical. I can put hotspots in. I can add text and images and video and websites so that you can have a place-based learning experience that you author yourself. You can pull resources that are already out there. You can create them on your own with your own phone. It really is that simple. And, we've had teachers create a virtual tour in less than a day. It's kind of like PowerPoint. I can make something quick and easy, or I can put lots of time in and make something that's really beautiful, but we give you the tools to create your own virtual tours. But that's not all. Wait, buy today, and there's even more. So that's a portal, and it's a community, and we're the studio behind the Habitable Worlds course that Ariel referenced earlier. It was created before Infiniscope. We're now in our third generation of the course. It's based on the Drake equation, and it leverages many of these lessons from Infiniscope, or Infiniscope leverages lessons from HabWorld. It's been really a co-developed kind of ecosystem now. And it leverages this platform called Taurus, which makes it adaptive. Students can change variables, get feedback, they can play and explore and see the effects of the changes that they do. And then as they learn the basic concepts, they apply those concepts into a project. So there's no tests with HabWorlds. There are small little formative quizzes that help you reinforce the individual concepts, but then you go and search for habitable planets among this star field. You apply the physics and the chemistry and the biology and the astronomy that you've learned along the way to help in that search. All right, so that was Infiniscope. And what Svet has asked us to do is say, okay, that's great. What is it? But how can this community, how can the Astrobiology Guild engage with us as collaborators? So there's kind of two roles here we break down. If you're an educator, and many of us wear two hats, right? You can use lessons directly from the Infiniscope portal. They are free and available for you to use. You click on it, you'll launch it, right? If you want, you can also become a member. It's free to become a member of Infiniscope. When you have that account, more things open up to you, and you can enroll your students in a lesson, collect grades on it, track their activity. So there's more opportunities if you are a member to use these actually in your courses. You can also leverage the full course. Habitable Worlds is a textbook replacement. It's courseware. It's offered at a very affordable fee for the students, depending on which institution you're at, because the institution will charge for the credit and the time for the faculty member to teach. But if you are faculty or an instructor or an adjunct or a lecturer, you can use HabWorlds at your institution and you can modify it as you see fit. But if you're a scientist, You can also engage with the Infiniscope because this is a creative design process. We have a number of former teachers on our team. We have people who are trained in science and in technology in our team. And when we develop a learning experience, this is Dino Doom that you're seeing here, we are featuring scientists in our experiences, or if not the scientists themselves, their data, their work. And we need help on figuring out what the science is. We also, we have a community to feed, just like, you guys are engaging with the community to talk about astrobiology. We have this big community of teachers that want access to scientists. And when we offer a workshop, and here, we're doing a workshop in LA Unified with scientists from JPL. Scientists or teachers come out of the woodwork to join these workshops because they're hungry to hear from subject matter experts who are actually doing science in the field. So if we can connect you with educators and educators with you, that feeds our community and makes us relevant. And you don't have to be an educator to want to make a lesson, right? If you have an idea for your science that you want featured in a lesson, you can attend a workshop, create your own lesson, share it with Infiniscope, or we can partner you with an educator to collaborate with. Because lots of times the educators know what they want to teach, but they don't have the cutting edge science. So we can pair you together to create a lesson. And I just want to kind of make a note, who can be a subject matter expert? Could be civil servants working on missions, could be researchers with NASA funding, could be faculty or postdocs, who teach these concepts related to astrobiology or NASA Science Mission Directorate in general, or graduate students funded by it. So it's a big wide net of who we consider a SME. And we do have limited funding for your engagement. So you can make your lesson for free, but also we have stipends for teachers to create lessons. It's only $1,000, but it compensates them for their time. If there's a lesson you want to create, great. We can talk about doing a discovery lesson. If you are a scientist and you have an idea for a lesson and it fits with what we're producing in our studio, we have stipends for summer salary and for graduate students to collaborate with us on these bigger projects. It's a few $1,000s. It's not a ton, but it helps compensate you for meaningful engagement in this co-design process. All right. So what are some of the opportunities? And then I'll stop talking. We'll open up for questions. The nearest term one is we are going to do a Mars sample return virtual field trip suite. We're going to kick this off this summer, June 2023, and we've got a year to build this. So what is this? We're going to make a virtual field trip. Okay. It's going to be based on Mars sample return. We're still figuring out the core concept here, but we want to co-develop this with scientists and educators in a workshop this summer. There will be a VR component. It won't be the central thing, but we're going to start playing with virtual reality in relation to Mars sample return. And then we're going to have 5 teachers from 5 of our strategic partners: LA Unified, Kamehameha Schools in Hawaii, New York State master teachers. Those 5 teachers are going to create 5 lessons that either feed in to the Mars sample return virtual field trip, some precursor information, or lessons that flow out of the Mars sample return virtual field trip. So it'll be a full suite of experiences, and we need educators and we need subject matter experts to help us design this over the next year. If you're not in for that type of commitment, that's cool. We have workshops. So this summer, we're having a workshop on how to build your own virtual tour. That's June 27th through 29th. We have a whole new set of authoring tools coming out, which should be easier to use. So we have a workshop July 18th to 20th to how to create your own adaptive lessons. And then we've got this project we've been talking about for a while, and we're kind of looking for collaborators, both teachers and subject matter experts, to maybe partner and make these astrobiology graphic history novels, which are pretty awesome, but they are static PDFs, right? They're great resources for a teacher, but can we make them more interactive? Can we make them more personalized? And so we've kind of done a little proof of concept here. And when the new authoring tools come out, we'd like to look and see if there's interest in, clicking on the characters, on the real life scientists in the graphic novels and doing a little faux interview where, the scientists are talking about their science, why they got into astrobiology, their life experience and kind of career advice for young scientists. And this is just a proof of concept for one of the 7 issues. What we're looking to do more if there's interest from the community in doing this. So it doesn't have a date yet, but it's something we're interested in doing. And that's the overall presentation. So there is I'm going to put it right now in chat. There's a link for a quick little survey. And really the survey is just your name, your email, and which area you might want to get more information about. And we can follow up with you after this presentation. So open it up for questions. And I started a timer, so that said we have 40 minutes. We're 25 minutes in, Svet, so we've got 15 minutes for questions, according to my watch.
Fantastic. Yep.
That was so cool. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Ariel.
So any specific questions for Joe and Ariel?
Or for the rest of our team, we neglected to mention the broader team, right? So there's like 20 people involved at various sorts. Teams of learning designers, subject matter expert collaborators, project managers.
It always takes a team, right?
It always takes a team.
So I want to just address just one very general question from Redyan Ahmed. He wants to know how you can get involved. And you just heard how Redyan, so go ahead and fill out that form. There's check boxes if you want to contribute as a science expert, if you want to use the tools, if you there's all kinds of options there. So go ahead and fill that out to be a part of this great project.
And I just put the website in the chat, so you can just go there directly and sign up. It takes 3 minutes to sign up, and we just check to make sure that you're on the approved list of ITAR countries, and that you get in a free account and the portal opens up to you.
Cool. Well, I'm going to sign up. If you guys need any more video footage from NASA astrobiology or anything we can contribute for these lessons, I'm more than happy to do so. So,
well, thank you.
So I see right in, you asked, sign up for Infiniscope. You can use a portion of the catalog completely free and without signing up. If you become a member, more assets open up. So the lessons that other educators have built become available to you because you're part of the community. There's a bunch of visualizations that we use in Hab Worlds that aren't on the portal for non-members that open up to you, and there's greater access for talking with other members of the community. So there's no cost. You just in the upper right corner of the website, you click become a member.
And Danny already volunteered you to work on the graphic novels because I know you know them and you know the content so well. So I hope you'll be interested.
And maybe this is a great time to launch that poll you had, Hillary, on sort of a quick survey to see how many of our guild members are interested and plan to follow up on this opportunity. Okay, go ahead, Hillary. Did you want to?
It's up.
Yeah, you all should be seeing a poll. Just 10 quick questions. Let us know what you thought about
4 quick
opportunity.
Whoops, just 4 questions.
What did I say? Sorry, 4 questions. Yep.
You said 10, which was like, oh no, I don't want to do that.
I was looking at how many participants, and it said 1 of 10. That's probably why I got confused. And there are the answers rolling in. Thanks, everyone. let's give a few more minutes to specific questions for Infiniscope, and then I want to open up the floor for more general feedback and questions and opportunities from Guild members.
And Jessica had put something in the chat, but she just had to run. So I don't know if somebody else knows what her big news was. Do you know, Mike?
Oh, it was about sharing. No, it was about sharing this meeting with the PAWS group, the Professional Advancement Workshop Series, I think is what PAWS stands for. Jessica runs a seminar series for professional development in the planetary sciences. So we sort of teamed up.
Like Danny, you have your hand up, so go ahead.
Thanks. Yeah, I was just wondering if Joe and Ariel could say, a bit more about how you're getting, the information out to teachers. Like I'm hearing about the workshops. Are you finding that's the best way? Or there, I think that is a fantastic way. But I'm just wondering, if you could just kind of speak to that and getting that information out to everybody more and more.
Ariel, do you want me to?
We can both. The workshops are part of it. Right now our team is at NSTA, right? So trying to go into conferences where the teachers go, or at least the teachers who want to explore, try new things, the pioneer teachers. So we definitely try to do that. Joe, you want to?
So I was just going to say, NSTA, we go to conferences. We try and find the teachers where they are at. We also have partnerships with some decent sized communities where we have LAUSD as a partner. We have Kamehameha Schools as a partner. We have New York State Master Teachers as a partner. And so we kind of we create the workshops and we send it out to those member groups. And, we're trying to get bigger and bigger. And what we found is when teachers like what they see, they share it with others. And so we're starting to get to that critical mass now. If you have other ideas, we're happy to hear them.
Absolutely. I'll be getting back to you on that.
and what I would just say is, we're kind of restarting a lot of that community engagement because, for the last 2 years into the pandemic, we had to switch our back end technology. And so we're doing a lot of that. We didn't have a lot of the opportunities that we normally did. And so now it's re-engaging and firing that back up. All the experiences were always available, but we weren't doing a lot of the new workshop stuff because we had to figure out where we were going first. But Jess and Sina and the others are at NSTA today. So
yeah, and our technology migration, I mentioned this in passing about HabWorlds in the chat, but it applies to all of Infiniscope. Everything now sits on an open source platform, which addresses some concerns that also have kind of made it a little bit difficult sometimes to get into schools because originally we were sitting on a platform developed by a for-profit company that we were partnered with in various ways. They were great, but that right away created a bit of a fraught conversation with schools. Like whose platform is this and what happens to our data and stuff like that and to students' data. And so blessing in disguise, that company got purchased by Pearson, which forced us to figure out a new solution, which was 2 years of crazy stress and a lot of money spent. But the outcome of it is that we're now on an open source platform that can't be taken away from us and that we have control over, and that removes a lot of these concerns about who's profiteering from our kids on the backs of our kids. No one.
And I think we're going to give that poll just a few more moments. So make sure you guys fill that out. And then we will end that shortly and move to the open and wrap up portion of our meeting.